So there's an alarming rise in the number of matrimonial disputes and divorce cases in India. And this is not just limited to now big cities, but something that is prevalent across the length and breadth of India. Why do you see this phenomena? And what are the social factors perhaps responsible for this?
To analyze this problem, you have to analyze the Hindu Marriage Act. In the Hindu Marriage Act, the grounds for divorce are very limited. And in fact, twice Parliament tried to amend the Hindu Marriage Act to include a ground of irretrievable breakdown of marriage as a ground for divorce. And both times it was not approved in the Parliament. The idea of the philosophy of our Hindu Marriage Act is that a marriage is meant to be for life, and divorce is not to be easily granted. Now, that is the architecture as far as the legal position is concerned. But factually, the problem is a little different. Earlier, girls in our house were taught to be a little submissive only to the extent of trying to ensure that small differences do not break marriages and try to cope with them rather than, escalate every small difference into a flashpoint resulting into divorce. Now, today, unfortunately, and I'm seeing this largely in society, that our daughters are being taught to be independent, which is very good. I fully appreciate that. Daughters should be independent. They should be also never dependent on anybody. They should be technically and educationally fully qualified. And if they want to work, they should be allowed to work as well. So that part there can be no dispute with. But when you get into a marital relationship, differences are bound to happen. I don't think there is any marriage where there are no differences. It's how you manage the differences is the way the marriage works. If you make issues of small things repeatedly, the marriage will not work. If it's a major issue like husband beating, etc., immediately there is no question of living with that husband. You must leave that household. And if there is an issue where you are not given respect, also something which no girl should tolerate, and that is something which you should make a point about and if necessary for that purposes. But small issues are being escalated, and many a times the girls' parents also encourage the girls that no, you come out, leave the house and come. That is now not how marriages go on in this country. Marriages go on with a lot of give and take, and give and take has to be from both sides. If the give and take is only from one side, that also will not last very long. It has to be on both sides. But that you have to give that time. The way you have to manage things is to ignore the small issues and only insist on the major issues, and try to mend things rather than break them. We belong to that time when, when there was a small issue in marriage, I think we used to repair it. The generation today, when there is an issue with something, they throw it away and buy a new one. So that culture is a little different. That thought process is a little different, and that is resulting in a large number of divorces happening in the country. I remember a very dear friend of mine, his sister said, I want a divorce. So his brother said, well, what's the problem with your husband? He said, no, there is no problem with my husband. And they used to live in the US. But when I go to my village once a year for 10 days, my mother-in-law doesn't talk to me nicely and she insults me. So he said, but your mother-in-law, if you meet her for 10 days in a year, I'm sure you can tolerate that if your husband is good and there are no issues with your husband. She said, no, this is the age of women empowerment. I want a divorce. And she took a divorce. Then she got married again. Now her husband is ill-treating her. So, you can't keep doing a trial and error in life. It's not as if that if you have some problems in this guy, there will be some other problems in the other guy. There is no ideal person made in this world. If there is no ideal person made in this world, then there is no ideal marriage, if you ask me. So you have to live with a certain amount of give and take. And that's how our marriages work. And especially if children come in between, then the children always remain as a bonding factor. And you have to also realize, if there are children in between, that if you separate, the children's life will be completely torn apart, and their growth will get in many ways affected very badly. And the sacrifices that you have to do to keep the marriage going ultimately ends up because of the children also. So again, having said all this, again, I don't say that if there is a beating of the wife or there is not enough respect for her in the relationship, she should ever, those are fundamental issues in any marriage. But apart from that, there is a feeling of adjustment. More and more marriages will continue than get into a divorce situation.